Phat Company has decided to re-release this figure as an Amiami Exclusive sometime next year. Hi and welcome back to the channel. I'm Steven, today with an old anime figure again. And yes, here we go again with another purple hair waifu. I know. This can't be coincidence, right? I keep buying purple hair figures. But anyways, the main reason why I brought up this figure for today is because Phat Company has decided to re-release this figure as an Amiami Exclusive sometime next year, more than 10 years after this figure came out. I don't exactly remember which year she came out, but it was the early 2010s, 2012, 2013 or so, around those years, for about 12,000 yen. And the re-release next year is going for 18,000 yen, which if you account for inflation and also currency depreciation, that sounds about right. So I'm not complaining about the price over here for the re-release. My problem is why an Amiami Exclusive? It is unnecessary because Kirigiri Kyouko is the kind of character from Danganronpa which a lot of people like. She has a lot of fans, myself included. Otherwise, this wouldn't be my only Danganronpa figure I have in my collection. I did not buy any other characters, only Kyouko over here, so that says a lot. But another reason why I bought this Kyouko figure, two reasons actually. Number one, I love details and this figure is full of it even though she is at only 1/8 scale. And the second thing is that this is kind of a photogenic figure. I can remove everything and put her on a motorcycle, for example, and I can set her up for photographing these different kind of scenarios, right? So there are a lot of stuff going on, and some of you might dislike this kind of figures because it can look a little bit cluttered or messy. And I do have a few parts over here becoming loose, like the adhesive, the glue is failing, this chair piece over here. But I would take this over a broken part, like between a part that was fractured because of flimsiness or low quality, which this figure indeed is actually. I would prefer the glue to come off and then I can glue it back myself again. So this isn't a main issue over here. It has been 10 years after all. And as you can see, she has lasted so well after a decade. No stickiness or anything on my copy of this Kyouko figure, because most of this figure is ABS plastic, like solid Gunpla plastic. I don't feel much PVC other than the hair and the main figure maybe. The base, the school desk, everything is ABS plastic from what I can feel over here. And this transparent part is probably acrylic, I'm not too sure. And I'm kind of glad that I haven't scratched this thing by accident because this looks very easy to scratch. Now, as for the size of the figure, head height 18 centimeters. This is about the right size for 1/8 scale. And this is what the box looks like. I know it looks terrible. I mean, look at this. Right. The thing is that I purchased this figure from a local seller, local figure store. And when the parcel arrived, it arrived in the rain. And yeah, this is normally what you see when there is water damage. But after 10 years, 12 years, this is, never mind. And the box is quite small, as you can see. The reason being, every single part you can see over here, they are separated in the box. You need to assemble this figure. And if I have an advice for you guys who pre-ordered the re-release, the sequence of you assembling the figure is very important. And you should be attaching this table to Kyoko's backside first, and after you have done attaching it, which it is quite tight, then only you attach the whole setup into the base over here, because the plastic packs here are extremely thin and very fragile. In fact, all these parts over here on the base are extremely fragile, just plastic, right? It is easy to break. So the way I handle this figure, it feels like I'm handling glass or something worse than glass even. Be careful with this figure in short. But otherwise, not too hard to put together. And I love that bonus Monokuma figure right in front here. Nice bonus over there. Of course, stability is not going to be an issue. This is a sitting pose figure, you know. And the only unfortunate part is that all of the connecting packs on this figure are plastic and they are extremely thin, so be careful. Moving on to the main sculpt of the figure, this is where you'll find the typical flaws you would see in a Phat Company figure. This is like a 7 out of 10 in terms of detail level, maximum 7 out of 10. One being 1/8 scale certainly does not help the figure. And the biggest flaw in the sculpt you can see in this Kyouko is definitely her hair. So I'm giving you guys a few close-up looks over here on her hair strands. So you see those mold lines over there? Yeah. That is typical Phat Company back in the early and mid 2010s. Typical Phat Company. And 12,000 yen back in the early or mid 2010s was considered pretty expensive. Yeah. Other than those mold lines on her hair, which you can see it on many of her hair strands, not just this side as well. And also, the seam line on the side of her head over here. Yeah, the seam line over here. This is already better looking than many other figure brands out there in the past. But it is not exactly a very nice looking seam line either. It looks a little bit rough, like unpolished. But this was also the only Kirigiri Kyouko scale figure back in year 2012, the only one available. I did not have any other choices other than maybe buying a free ink 1x4 bunny, which I'm not keen in because it is just a bunny figure. I would take a Phat Company 1x8 scale over a free ink bunny 1x4 any day. So despite the flaws in the sculpt of this figure, I would say I liked the figure quite a lot simply for the sheer amount of details to be found in this figure. At least the front of the figure, she looks fine. Like the face sculpt and everything is very precise. She looks exactly like what we see in the anime. At least I only watched the anime adaptation, did not play the game as usual. And in general, Phat Company has never been a problematic figure company in terms of sculpting in the face department. The accuracy of their faces in every figure they make, normally they are fine, no complaints at all. It is when we are talking about refinement, like all those fine details or mold lines like what you saw, the finer details is where you'll see some flaws. They have gotten better today compared to 10 years ago, but yeah, the problems are still there in general. And moving on to the paint work, the silver part on her gloves over here, and then we have her sleeves and even the buttons on her uniform, they are very precisely painted on this figure, and that is a little bit unusual for Phat Company back then. Yeah, Phat Company, they are, anything that is fine or small, they'll bleed out to the side. This figure has none of it. There is a very heavy dose of shading on the base, the chair, the desk, and all of the props that comes with her. Yeah, and this is once again not something I commonly see in Phat Company figures back then, so this was considered exceptional back in the day. As for my final comment on the base over here, well, this is the basketball court, right? Indoor basketball court where we saw in the anime adaptation, I think it is. It is a case-by-case basis. I have complaints about resin figures that come with very complicated and cluttered bases. I did not like them, those fairy tale or One Piece figures with a messy base. Sword Art Online as well. This one is considered messy, but somehow I liked it. I would prefer not to push the plastic pack all the way into the base so that it is easy to disassemble, to take apart the figure later if I wish to do so. So overall, should you get the re-release, my answer is still a yes, even though it is a Phat Company figure, which I'm treating this company like a punching bag in a way. Sometimes a little bit too unfairly, I know that. But from time to time, they do make great figures, and as long you are not a perfectionist, they are still great purchases in general. Now the question would be, is it worth picking up this figure at the full retail price of 18,000 yen? That's a big question over here, and I think it is very subjective. To me, 18,000 yen is still very reasonable for something like this, given that, the newer Phat Company Amiami Exclusive stuff are like 27k. Yeah, so this almost looks like a bargain in comparison. So I hope that this video is helpful for those of you who are planning or looking to get your hands on the re-release of this figure. I would say go for it. Yeah, just be careful when you're assembling the figure. And if you found this video helpful or informative, please give this video a like, subscribe to this channel for more content like this every week, and I'll see you guys again very soon. Thanks for watching and goodbye.